Hello, this is Tammy from Singles Travel International presenting tonight Montreal Jazz Festival weekend next summer, 2023. And I'm here with several of our members, and we're going to talk about Montreal. Many of them are booked already, but you may not be. So if you're watching this video on YouTube, be sure to click the link at the bottom so that you can get on board with all of these fun people. So let's get started. And what we'd like to do first of all is who has been to Montreal? Anybody? No.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Great. So that's a good start. It's always fun to go to new places. One of the things that I remarked the first time that I went to Montreal was the fact that it is absolutely just like going to France. It was so similar to going to France. And so my next slide here is visit France in half the time. And in order for me to figure that out, I actually used Kathy, your home city, because for me, I thought, oh, visit France in 2 to 3 hours, right? But I'm like, oh, some of us in California must be coming from a little bit further back. So, yeah, I think that for who's been to France? Has anybody been to France yet? Okay,
Yes.
raise his hands. Okay, raise a glass of wine. Perfect. I love it. Well, France is one of my top favorite places. I used to live there. I've been there many, many times. I speak French, and to be able to go to a place that is absolutely like an immersion in a French vacation and only have to fly 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 hours if you're from California was amazing to me. So, what is it about Montreal that makes it so French? Well, first of all, the cuisine. There are 41 Michelin rated restaurants in Montreal. And the food, not all of it is just like being in France because they've created their own cuisine, but a lot of the restaurants are serving what you call haute cuisine. So if you're a foodie, which is what we put on the website, you're definitely going to love this vacation. We have 4 nights, 5 days, jazz festival. And I fully intend for all of you to eat your way and dance your way through the entire weekend. The other thing that makes Montreal very French is their passion for jazz. And so let me ask this question of the group. Who here is a jazz fan? Okay, raising some hands. And it's okay if you don't really know jazz or you understand jazz. It's a complicated genre. And sometimes it takes a while to tune your ear into that kind of music and enjoy it. And sometimes the songs are recognizable, and sometimes they go out on a wing and they come back and you say, oh my gosh, I didn't even know they were playing that same song because the musicians are speaking an incredible language of their own, and I'm very, very envious of that talent. Jazz is one of my favorite types of music. And then also in Montreal, the culture is very French and the architecture, especially in the old town city. So let me show you some of the things that I wanted to bring. Let me get to the next slide here. We talked about the cuisine. So in French, it's called la cuisine. And by the way, some of the things about the culture that make it French is that they speak French. That's their primary language in Montreal. So when you're there, a lot of people will speak English, but many will just speak French to you. So be prepared for that. And if you want to practice your French, if you've always been um, wanting to learn a little bit, now would be a great time to practice a little bit. They also have the sidewalk culture, the sidewalk cafe culture. So all around in the summer, there'll be all kinds of outdoor dining, and you can taste anything from baguettes to croissant to foie gras to all of the French favorites. And then the architecture in the old town is they have a Notre Dame basilica, and there's an island of Notre Dame. So there are some remnants of France in the architecture as well. So the food in Montreal is incredible. As I said, there's 41 restaurants in Michelin rated restaurants, and I'm going to show you some pictures of some of the favorites. And I'm actually going to Does it, who has seen Feed Phil on Netflix? Nobody. Okay. Oh my gosh. So there's a show. It's been on several seasons. It's called Somebody Feed Phil, and it was the he was the writer of Everybody Loves Raymond. Everybody remembers that show, right? So he was the writer of it, and his name is Phil Rosenthal, and he's got this six season series, and he goes to Montreal. So I recommend that you watch it because every time he eats something, his eyes light up, and he's just so animated about it. And he goes to 6 or 7 places in Montreal. So tonight, if you're looking for something to do, or tomorrow or the weekend, go into Netflix and search Somebody Feed Phil and look for that third season episode of Montreal. So, what is included in our package? We packed it with gourmet delights and gourmet experiences. Breakfast is included every morning at the hotel, and they have a wonderful buffet breakfast. This should be the least exciting of all your meals on the trip, but it is wonderful and plentiful and gets you started for all of your jazz fest activities every day. We're going to have a welcome dinner at a delicious steakhouse. We're going to have a famous steak frite that's in the picture on the right there. And we're also going to have a foodie tasting tour. We are going to take all of our members in the old city, and we have 5 different stops, and you're going to be able to taste a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I don't want to give away any surprises, but it was quite well received last time we did it. And it's a not a big geographic area that we're covering, so everybody should be able to make the walk and enjoy a little taste of this, a little taste of that. And then at the end of the tour, we can leave you off in the old Montreal section. And there are plenty of outdoor cafes and shopping and open markets and places for you to enjoy that area of the city and some more delicious food. We also are having a 4 course dinner with live jazz on the St. Lawrence River. That is available to all of our members, and premium members get that included in their package. It's worth about $169, and it's beautiful. It'll will be there during sunset. Well, it's not within walking distance of the hotel, but a short metro ride or taxi. And then we board the ship. We have an aperitif, a champagne. We get seated. It's a domed car with beautiful views, uh, not 360, but 180. And we'll have a 4 course dinner with live jazz music as we see the city, watch the sunset, and then they do a special light show at the end before we get off. So it's a wonderful experience, and the food is delicious. So that's what's included as far as gourmet cuisine on our program. And now, on your own, as I was saying, you're going to want to scout around in the city. This is a very walkable city. And in a couple minutes, I'll show you the map of the festival grounds in relationship to our hotel right in downtown Montreal, not in the old city, but a little bit west. So you'll be able to walk around to the festival, to all of these great sites that are in the center of town, and most of the incredible places that Phil went to. Some of them may require a taxi. There's a beautiful area just a little bit to the left of our hotel that's a very um, kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, I'll think of it in a minute. But very avant-garde, and lots of restaurants, lots of cafes, lots of bars, breweries, and things like that. That will require you to take a taxi, and that's where the 2 favorite bagel places are. And people say, "Oh, what's a bagel?" Right? Well, apparently the Montreal bagel, they're claiming to be the best, better than New York. It's sweeter, it's thinner, and you're supposed to be able to just get it right out of the oven, right in the stores. There's 2 of them in this area, and they're 24 hours. They never close. The owner said in the video today while I was reviewing, they don't even have a lock on the door. So I would definitely recommend trying one of their bagels. And that is, I think it's a must. So let's see what you guys think. Is it better than the New York bagel? Now, who knows what poutine is? All right, Kathy knows. All right, Karen knows. Well, this is a classic Montreal or Quebecois cuisine or dish with French fries, with cheese curd smothered in a brown gravy. So that's an ultimate comfort food. And on a summer day, I don't know if it's going to be maybe something that you guys want to share, but definitely something to try while you're there. There's Schwartz's world famous smoked meat sandwich. So it looks like a pastrami. If you ever been to New York and had, or Chicago, we've got great pastrami sandwiches. And that is also something that is on the hit list when you look up top 10 places and things to eat in Montreal. There are hundreds of French bakeries with the most beautiful and carefully crafted designs, from cupcakes, like I said, the chocolate croissant, and baguettes like crazy. So if you want to just grab some cheese and a baguette, which is one of my favorite things to do in France, and sit on a bench and people watch, go for it. There are three major open air markets. One of them is just all fruits and vegetables, and that's down in the old area. So when you finish your foodie tour that day, that might be something to put on your list of things to do. So lots of great cuisine, easy walking city. And now here are some pictures of, there's their poutine on the left. There's the smoked meat sandwich from Schwartz's. I think some of these things are really good for sharing. So that's the nice thing about traveling with Singles Travel International. And as I heard in introductions tonight, many of you just got back from a trip and you're making new friends and meeting new people. So go out and about and share the experiences together. There's the bagel, and just a nice, delicate seafood dish that is served in one of those restaurants in the old city. So let's talk about Le Jazz. Some of you said you're jazz fans, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a history about, so why is jazz so popular among the French people? Anybody know? Okay. Well, the very first time that the French heard jazz was in World War One. And it's because the troops that we had sent over, they had segregated troops. So there was an African American infantry that was the 369th from Harlem, and their leader, Lieutenant James Europe, was a band leader as well. And so they marched through hundreds of little French towns in the countryside in World War One, and the French heard these sounds for the very first time, and they were just crazy over it, and they couldn't imagine why or how they got these sounds out of those instruments, because they had never heard it before. And so it became a mystery, and it became somewhat of a curiosity for them, and they were very intrigued with it, so much so that they started to adopt the music. And so by the time World War One ended, it was a perfect accompaniment for people to celebrate, right? Remember they called it the bel âge, or les fol âge, which means the crazy times, because that was when the Roaring Twenties and all the flappers and jazz music was very, very popular in France. And it was a way for people to celebrate, and they loved it. It was a celebratory music. So then after World War II started, there was a ban on music by Hitler because they occupied France. And anything American or anything non French was banned. And so the French loved it so much that they masked the jazz, which they said that it was, they gave it a pedigree by saying that it was inspired by Debussy. They changed all the song names to French names, and they did whatever they could, and it actually worked, so that Hitler was able, he allowed them to play this music that was called jazz instead of swing, which it really was at the time. So they got away with that, and the first jazz club was formed. And so after World War II, when everybody went back home, of course, you all know that the African American soldiers still had to go back to that same segregation. But in France, they were highly celebrated. people loved that music. They had already created the first jazz club in France. And in 1948, the very first jazz festival was held in Paris. So people that you might recognize like Dizzy Gillespie and eventually Miles Davis and Chet Baker, famous jazz musicians showed up for these festivals in the first couple of years. So it's really intrinsic. It's important to know. And Montreal has a French influence, and therefore jazz for them is super incredible. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but the Montreal Jazz Festival is noted in the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest jazz festival in the whole world. They got that acclaim in 2004. So you're going to be a part of history and a part of an incredible celebration in the old city of Montreal. Now, what's included in our package here is the Jazz Fest. It's free. So from June 30th until July 8th, there are live music performances from morning until like 11 o'clock at night. It goes all day and night, which is really nice. If I don't know if anybody's been ever to the Jazz Fest in New Orleans, and that's a wonderful celebration. You have to go out to the fairgrounds to get there. They also have the French Quarter Fest, which we've enjoyed many times, right in the French Quarter Fest, right in the French Quarter. But these guys are doing it from morning till night. They don't stop until 11 o'clock. There are 6 open air stages, and I think you can see on my photo here, it's maybe not the largest, but each of those black boxes that say the word that looks like us in English, scene, that's in French, scène for stage. So there are 6 scènes or stages in this whole festival area. And if you look at that turquoise arrow that I drew on the upper left-hand corner, our hotel is just off the map. So we're so close. We're only within 3-4 blocks from the Place de Festival, which is that first one in the upper left-hand corner. Now they're just filling in their calendar. And in addition to the outdoor stages, there are indoor concerts performed throughout the same time period. The tickets are extra. And I just looked up the website today, and it is linked on our website under the highlights section. So I would click that and maybe, bookmark that so that you can check it from time to time. That's how all the festivals go. They fill in as we go, and we'll have the final schedule just weeks before the event begins. But I saw that Buddy Guy, who is a known blues musician, is going to be kicking off on June 30th. I know if I was there, I'd be going to see Buddy Guy. I'm from Chicago. And so those concerts are available for purchase. That's something that I would recommend on the trip chat of our website. One of the nice features about Singles Travel International is that when you book a vacation, you have access to a private trip chat for members only to talk about their plans for the trip. So that might be a place where you want to connect and talk about some of those other concerts that are offered in the evenings for sale. But in the meantime, you've got free concerts every day. Your concierge for the vacation will have a weekly schedule or a weekend schedule. So by the time we go, we'll meet for breakfast, and then we'll do a morning and after breakfast meetup for anybody that wants to go and start listening to music. Because there's 6 stages and the genre of the music, it is jazz, but it's different kinds of jazz. So you might have Dixieland jazz, you might have straight ahead jazz, you might have some smooth jazz. And so we might have different tastes about what we enjoy. And so we'll all meet after breakfast and head off to the festival based on the schedule. And we can do it together, or we can, split off into smaller groups and just enjoy the music. So give me a second, guys. I just see that somebody else is trying to get in here, and because I'm already, here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm not going to be able to let her in. So the concerts are available to you day and night, and they're all within walking distance of our hotel. and will help facilitate watching and listening. And also our schedule will have all of the other events that we're offering. So you'll be able to find us. So let's say you go off and you're listening to some music and you know that we have a dinner planned at a certain time. Your schedule will have the name of the restaurant, the phone number, the address, so that you can just meet us at that location. And that's the way we like to do these weekend getaways, especially when there's so much to do. We have differing um, tastes and likes. So these are some of the events that are already for sale, some of the musicians that are available for those venues indoor. I just took this right off the festival website. So if you click the link on our highlights tab on the website for Singles Travel International, you'll be able to see the same thing. So let's talk a little bit about the culture and the sites. And this is a picture of the interior of the Notre Dame Basilica. Just beautiful. And probably the number one site in Montreal. But there are many, many more. And one of the things that we did with this itinerary, last time we did it, we had a couple of options. We went to Quebec, and this time we decided to leave it open. We found that too much planned activity was too much. So we thought this time let's focus on the music and the food, and then give our members the free time. But of course, your concierge will be there to help assist and to coordinate. But there is so much to see and do that we want to try it this way this time around. And I think you notice that the price is really nice on this one. So without building in all those extra things, that we were able to do that. So plan to explore and engage with the locals, because that's the best thing to do. Maybe, as Phil says, there's nothing like eating a home cooked meal. And I also said that for many years. If you can get somebody's mom to cook for you, there's nothing better. Maybe you'll meet some locals and they'll invite you to their home for a meal. That's always possible. But some of the top sites in Montreal, for sure, as I just showed you, Notre Dame Basilica, St. Paul Street in Old Montreal, which is where all those little cafes are, and the Fresh Market, the Jean Talon Market is there. There's also, for those of you who like nature, hiking, animals, flowers. There's a Parc du Mont Royal, which is a huge park just to the west of our hotel. You'll probably spend a good portion of the day seeing the grounds there. There's live animals. It's like a forest. There's a lake. You can have lunch next to the lake. And then also, you may or may not remember, but the Olympics was held in Montreal in 1976. So they have this remaining place where they held all the Olympics. That's where all their sport arenas are. But they also have two things that are very interesting for people who are interested in space and nature. There's a botanical garden, and then there's an insectarium, planetarium, and the biodome. So if you're into nature, I mean, the botanical garden is amazing. So I definitely would recommend that if you're looking for something to do in an outdoor, maybe you need a break from music for one day and you want to do something, I would recommend the botanical garden. There's a casino in Montreal on Notre Dame Island, and it is very similar to a casino that you might see in France. If anybody's been to Monte Carlo, you know that you have to show your passport, you have to be in formal attire, there's no jeans. Same thing here at the Casino Montreal, but they have restaurants and shows and bars. You have to take a ferry over to get to that place, but it's got some great nightlife. And they have, baccarat, poker, blackjack, no craps. So for those of you who are table players, so that might be a fun night out. Mild End Neighborhood, which was the one I was trying to think of earlier, and the word that was not coming to my mind because I'm over 50, I'm actually over 60, was the Bohemian section of the city. So it's a very Bohemian neighborhood with lots of cafes and bars and things like that. And that's where you're going to find the two bagel places in Montreal. There's not just one, there's not three, there's only two, and they've been there forever and ever, 50 some years each. So I would say you might want to spend a day in the Mile End neighborhood. And then there's an entire underground city in Montreal. And if any of you grew up in a cold city, then you could appreciate that coming from Chicago. I only wished we had underground tunnels to get us from point A to point B. I have frostbite to this day because of walking out in a cold winter night. So lots of things to see and do inside Old Montreal. Our hotel is just to the west of that. It's probably a 15 to 20-minute slow paced downhill walk to the old city. So remember that, because walking back to our hotel is up the hill 20 minutes. But you can also take a taxi or an Uber or any of the other public transportation that they have. Here are some of the things. So on the left, this is at Mile End, the Bohemian area of the town of Montreal. On the right is the open market with the fruits and veggies. On the left is Old Montreal. On the right is the park Montreal. So it's beautiful views from up there in fall, not summer, but so how to participate. Some of you will see yourselves here. We already have quite a nice group going, and you can always click on the who's going section on the trip page for all of our trips in case you want to see who's on the vacation and if it's going to be something for you, if it's your crowd. We have special offers for premium members. Not only do you save $200 on your own space, but you do get the complimentary 4-course dinner cruise on the St. Lawrence River with live jazz, half a bottle of wine, a welcome drink, champagne, aperitif, light show, and just an amazing night out. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end our formal presentation tonight, the travel preview of a Montreal Jazz Festival weekend for singles. And if you're watching this on YouTube, again, please click the link below to subscribe to us and also to see more about this amazing weekend vacation over 4th of July, 2023. So